The authentic AF Sun Yi.
Hi everyone, I'm Sun, and in the next 10 minutes, I'm going to teach you guys how to plant an idea in someone's head. Usually, whenever I try to convince someone, it turns into a debate. And you think that if I give a fact, they're going to change their mind, right? But no, they become defensive. They actually double down in their bad idea. And then comes the delayed comebacks. Take out your phone. Not to mention, send. I knew that this was a problem, but my rock bottom moment, when my sister came to visit me from Chicago. The first night she was here, we got into a conversation about how I can't spend time with her that week, because I'm busy. But it actually turned into a debate, and it escalated into an argument. And I actually ended the conversation by saying, even you being here is a waste of my time. Needless to say, I didn't change your mind. I want to see if I can try to change your mind. Who's smarter, cats or dogs? And a lot of people think that you can't train cats because cats are too smart. They're not going to listen to you. They have their own mind, right? Dogs are stupid. That's why they just listen to you, right? But the truth is, the smarter an animal is, the easier it is to train. That's why some chimps have the intellectual level of a 4-year-old. What's even easier to train than chimps? Humans. Humans are so easy to train that I can get somebody, pay them, go to work for 40 hours a week just so that they can spend money buying sneakers. You need incentive systems in order to train people. The more intelligence you have, the more you understand incentive systems. This is what I call micro-storytelling. I'm Sun Yi. I'm the founder at Night Owls, which is a digital agency in New York City, which works with Fortune 500 companies as well as personal brand. Whenever I talk about personal branding, everybody always thinks of Gary Vee or like Tony Robbins or something like that. But just think about this. Would Tesla be able to sell 1 billion trucks without even making the car if it wasn't for Elon Musk's brand? And could Kylie Cosmetics be $1 billion company 3 years after they start if it wasn't for Kylie Jenner's personal brand? Why are these guys all trying to be influencers? You guys are billionaires. So you guys all heard of the saying, history repeats itself, right? All throughout history, most of humanity, people live in a small town with about 100 to 150 people. So everyone in the town knows each other. And everybody in the town knows the wise old man. He's built his reputation with that town over 60 years. And that's why everybody trusts him. Now in the modern days, we have to go into an interview, and in 1 hour, I have to convince you to trust me. But what's been happening recently with social media is something very interesting. Imagine this is you, and you have meaningful relationship with 150 people around you. Over years, I've been putting out content, I've been building relationship with you, so that even though I don't know you, I am one of the 150 people for you. In that case, I can have a meaningful relationship with millions of people, even though I don't personally know them. And this is the game changer. But by having a personal brand, you can launch a new brand after brand after brand, and you'll immediately have access to audience. So if you look at all of these accounts, you can see that Gary Vee is going to have way more followers than his company VaynerMedia. You can see that Richard Branson is going to have way more followers than his company Virgin. There's a trend of influencers and entrepreneurs kind of merging together, which is why I believe that influence is the new oil. Yo, what's up, everyone? Okay, welcome everyone to our first live Q&A session. We're gonna have some technical difficulties, just so you know, because we're using all new tech for the first time, so we're gonna have some issues, so bear with us. this is how it's going to work. First, so there's two group of people watching this right now. So one, you're a member of Night Owl Nation, and the other one, you're watching it from YouTube from live stream. Whatever question you have, just put it in the chat, and I'll try to get to all of them. If you're a member of Night Owl Nation and you logged in, on the right side there's a chat. So just click on chat, and then put your name, and then you'll be able to chat. And there's like a button there that says call in, like request call in. If you have a question and you want to ask the question in video so we can have a conversation, just click that button and you can do that. So yeah, can everybody just put in the chat, put your name, where you're from, so we can all see you, so so we know you're here, and then we'll get right to the question. So while you're doing that, what's up, RJ? While you're doing that, I want to answer a previous question that I got from some of you guys. So, by the way, I'm gonna do this live every week, every Thursday from now on. Eventually, like my goal by like next year, I want to go live every day. But for now, we'll do once a week. Hey, you talk, we talk, or we talk. Okay. Okay, so okay, more chats coming in. Toronto, Rohani, hey Rohani, hey RJ. Okay, so here's what's happening. I hear a lot of like personal brand experts that talk about you are your niche, right? That you don't need to niche down in 2026. You are the niche. And I talked about this in on Threads, but like, you ever noticed that everyone who says that already have a big brand? So, but the thing is, the way they got there, the way they became the niche is by starting with one niche first and getting known in that. And once that got known, then it kind of expanded out. So that's kind of what I talked about, and I think few people had questions. So Gigi, can you put in the questions on the chat so we can see it? So here, so is my niche something I'm good at or something I'm passionate about? Okay, so this is a good question. Okay, so my advice to you is, yes, you are the niche once you're known. But until then, you have to start with the niche so that you can get known. And the niche that you start with doesn't matter. That's why I think you should start with the one you're the expert in. Because this is the thing that I see a lot of people doing, right? A lot of people are expert in something. They're like a lawyer, but they hate being a lawyer. So they have this like newfound, like, they quit their job and they start creating content, and they start creating content about manifesting or meditation or something that's completely unrelated to law, because that's their passion, right? Well, that's in my opinion, that's a mistake. What you should be doing, because you're already a lawyer, you already have a background. You can already say, I'm a lawyer, I'm an expert, I work at this firm, I'm a partner at this firm, this is the kind of thing I did. So you're already established as an expert. So get yourself known as an expert in that field. And then people start following you. But in the midst of it, what they're going to realize is you're going to start talking about manifesting. You're going to start talking about meditation. All of this that's part of your personality is all going to come out, even through your law content. But this is going to accelerate you getting known, because you're actually talking about something that's like you're credible in, you're an authority in, you know a lot in. So you're going to grow a lot faster. And then you can start sprinkling in all this other content, and it's eventually, once you're known, then you become the niche. But until then, you have to start with the niche. And the niche that I recommend, that I advise you to go into, is whatever you're expert in, not the thing that you're passionate about. The passion could come later if you're still passionate about it, later on. Okay. Any other question here? Yeah, so put your question into the chat. And if you're a Night Owl Nation, just click on that button, like to request call in, and then we'll just accept you, and then I can answer your call. What can be my niche then to truly stand out and be seen as there are competitors in my niche too? Okay. Good question. So this is kind of related, right? So for example, if you're a lawyer, obviously there's a lot of other lawyers that are making content too. So if you do niche down, how do you stand out? Number one, you're automatically going to stand out because you're the expert, right? So if you know what you're talking about and you're delivering and you're delivering information in a way that's helpful people, you're already going to stand out. But number two, like I said before, the way you're going to create content, like around law, is going to be different than how other lawyers create content because of your personality difference, right? So like you might give an advice like, in this kind of scenario, I like to just do a quick and dirty or whatever it is. But this guy might be like, oh no, in this kind of scenario, we have to do it really thoroughly, blah blah blah. It's because you guys have a different philosophy, different personality, and things like that, different values. So based on that, your content is already going to be different from other lawyers. So eventually, you are going to become the niche like that, right? And your personality, your values, those become the niche. But it's just not going to be in the beginning. But just the way you're going to separate yourself is you have to unapologetically do it your way. Okay. Well, there's more. What exactly to bluntly prioritize to decide the life starting point niche? Okay, yeah, same thing. Just start with what you know the best, because the thing that you know the best, I guarantee you, is the thing that people want to know. I'm always like surprised. I'm like, oh shit, this is so good. I'm going to put it out. And then every time I put out something that I'm an expert in, that's when people respond. So that's just how it's going to be. Hey, Farah. Good to see you here. Yeah, if you're like, for some of you guys, if you're like in Australia or like Indonesia or like on the other side of the country, it's going to be hard for you to attend Sunday service in the morning. So that's why we did this in the afternoon, so you can come. Okay. Hello, son. Nice to see you. Where to start posting stories? Oh, can you put that up again, Gigi? Where to start posting stories if I want to prompt my app? What format better? Thanks. Promote my app. Okay. Well, obviously it depends on what kind of app it is, right? Here's the thing, right? I think there's two ways to go about it. Yeah, maybe you can put in the chat what kind of app you have, and I can better. I'll give you an example. Like I was talking to this guy who makes this app, and the app is for roofers. This is an app for roofers, right? So if I was them, because this is an app that helps roofers, like help them get more business and things like that, right? So what I would actually do is, if you have an app like that, you actually have two different business. You have an app business and you have an education business, right? And if you look at most of the big like B2B apps, they're all like that. If you look at like Salesforce or Oracle or something like that, they don't just sell the app. It's like, here you go, you just use it yourself. That's not how it works, right? There's like training involved. There's like onboarding, and there's like implementation, deployment, and things like that, right? So you're actually selling the service. So what you actually have to do is you have to put out content, like in this case for roofers. What they're doing is they're putting out content for roofers that has nothing to do with the app, but how to help the roofers do their job better.
And one of the ways, part of that process is using this app. So in every chance that they get, they make the content, but they'll show the app, screenshot of the app, and using it to help support that content. And this will be the best way to do it, right? If you're like a B2B app. My app is Voice Social Network, where people share their day by voice messages. Okay, so B2C apps are going to be much, much, much harder, right? But the way I would do this, because it is like a social app, right? So the way I would do this is probably just take all the real life examples of how people use the app and then post them as an audiogram, right? Whether it's on Reel or whatever it is. Or maybe you can like put some images or B-roll in it. But basically you're telling the stories, but your customers are using the app, right? But the stories are in itself in the content, right? So what I would do is I would try to get permission from your users and try to use that, because I the other day I saw this interview where this woman who's like a viral genius, she had a client who they had to promote this app, where this is an app that records the last X minutes or whatever of all day, every day of your life. So like you might have said something, but you didn't catch it and you recorded it at that time, but you can go back in this app, and if you said it in the last 20 minutes or whatever, it'll be there and you can save it, right? And this is the app they're promoting. And the way they promoted it was, I'm getting chills, I'm getting goosebumps right now. The way they promoted this is, this guy was proposing to this girl, and her dad passed away, like I guess a year before or whatever. But he had captured the audio of him asking the dad for the permission to marry his daughter, and then him giving the permission, and that was recorded, and he played it while he's proposing, and recording that whole thing was the content, and this ended up getting 60 million views. Like, that's the thing, right? This is the beauty of entrepreneurship, in my opinion. Like, that's an app they probably use for fun and social, whatever it is. You could have never imagined that app could have been used that way. And that's just the thing. You can never imagine how people are going to use your product. You can never imagine what people want from you. So you can't be just like so focused on, this is my vision and I have to achieve this vision no matter what. You can't be stubborn like that. You really need to gauge the people, gauge the audience. And then they might actually have idea for you that's better than your own, you know? Oh yeah, I don't know how we ended up there. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. Is there any more questions, Gigi, in the chat? Here's a question I've been meaning to ask, as someone who's hired freelancers, employees before, and as someone who has been referred to by clients before. What are the 3 things you look for? Oh, let me read it. What are the 3 things you look for in a service provider that makes you think they're worth the risk of referring to other clients? In other words, what are your filters or factors you look at to inform your decision whether the person is worth the risk or not? Great question. Very, very detailed. Okay. If you're in my referral list, by the way, if you're in my list of people that I refer, that means like you've made it. Because I only refer the best. And I think it's because I've asked people to refer somebody to me so many times. Oh, you know a lawyer, oh, you know an accountant, you know a dentist, like, and the experience has always been so bad or mediocre that I stopped asking people to refer, because I feel like it's hurting kind of our relationship, right? So when people ask me to refer, I usually don't refer anyone. If I do, it's somebody that I trust 100%. But here's what I'll say. I think I'm the odd one out though, because I have very high standards. So when I give you a task, I expect you to do. If you're gonna do it, I expect you to do it well, and I expect you to do it right, or don't do it at all. Right? That's kind of like my expectation. But I think most people's expectation is not like that. So I'll take that out of the picture because you don't have to. You don't have to be, you know, like you don't have to work at that standard in terms of quality to land good clients or even get referrals. I think this is what most people are missing. This is such basic thing that most people are missing. Replying to email quickly, replying to text quickly, not waiting a day, right? Um, showing up, like not missing deadline, showing up on time in the meetings, right? Not um not being distracted while you're like when you're meeting with the client and when you're working with on that project, you're fully present and 100% your focus is there and people can feel it, right? It's kind of like, here, I'll give you an analogy, right? Take a look at your friends. Take a look at all of your friends. And let's say somebody that, somebody needed help moving, or somebody needed help painting, or somebody needed help doing something. But they want to do it. This person want it done well, and they have high standards. You know that you have friends that you would, ask to come, and you know that you have friends that you wouldn't ask, right? You already know that. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm gonna invite Joe because he checks this box. I'm gonna invite this person. Like, just from your group of friends, you already know their level of trustworthiness. How reliable are they? When they say something, do they follow through? Do they do it? When we meet for dinner or whatever, are they always late, or do they show up on time? Right? When he borrows money, do they pay on time? Like all of those things is creating a profile in your head of that person, right? And with clients, it's the same thing. When I work with somebody and every time I email this person, I know I'm not going to get a response today. I know for a fact that I'm not going to get a response till tomorrow because that's how it's been. Do you think I'm going to refer this person? Probably not, right? If every time I work with this person and the deadline comes, they're like, oh, sorry, we need a few more days. We missed the deadline. And that happens repeatedly. Do you think I'm going to refer that person? Right? It's things like that. If somebody's really hard to work with, an asshole, do you think I'm going to refer? It's just basic things. It's like, that's just the thing, right? It's so fucking crazy that so many people can't even do the bare minimum. That if you just do the bare minimum, you succeed. I don't know about in any other country, but at least in the United States, if you just fucking do the bare minimum, you will fucking win. It's why all the fucking Asian immigrants are fucking winning here. Because Asian immigrants they don't speak English, they might not have anything else, but you know what they have? They have the fucking discipline to do the bare minimum. And that's all you gotta fucking do in this country. Like, the barrier of entry, the bar for success is so fucking low. If you're a freelancer, you just gotta show up on time. Don't be late. Reply right away. Don't wait till tomorrow. Meet deadlines. Be a nice person. Don't be an asshole. Just do these things and you'll be wildly successful. But the thing is, this is what people do, right? They don't do any of these things, right? They show up 5 minutes late to a meeting, right? They're 1 day late on the deadline. Like, it's not even a lot, right? It's just the little things, right? Like some people just come in 15 minutes late to work every day, right? It's just these little things. It's just, but those little things are the bare minimum. There's so few people who does that if you do those little things, you'll win. You know, like this is for freelancers and coaches. 99% of questions that I get from freelancers and coaches is about how to get more clients, how to get more sales, how to make more money. That's where 99% of the focus is. It's never like, how do I deliver the best product? How do I make sure my clients succeed? Right? It's never about the work itself. It's always about how do I make more money. I think that's where the problem lies. Because when your focus is on how to make more money, what's happening, I can already see it. What's happening is this: if you're a freelancer, you know, you get this project, first couple of weeks you're excited, you're calling on time, you show up on time, you're excited, you're all gung-ho, right? And then a few weeks into it, you have this new project that you're excited about. Now you have this fucking shiny object. So you're excited about that you start kind of fucking dropping the ball on this project, right? And this client can feel it, right? And they're like, oh, like you're making them feel like they're the mistress. Do you know what I mean? And this is keep happening. But the thing is, it's because you're constantly worried about the new client. You're constantly worried about new business, new money. But the thing is, the way to get more new money is to service your existing clients well. You're so focused on the future projects, future money, future sales that you're fucking dropping the ball on the actual delivery, actual fulfillment. But this is what grows your business. In the back end, these clients talk about you. They refer you. This is what grows business. But you start to drop this ball on those little things, you're not getting anywhere. You're going to have to constantly keep selling for the rest of your life. And coaches is the same thing. The reason why they come up with a product, oh, it doesn't work, boo. Oh, new product. Oh, it doesn't work, boo. Like, because what happens is I have 10,000 followers. I exhaust my audience. I sold it to 500 of them. Nobody else wants to buy it. So what do I have to do? I have to create a new product, right? And then you exhaust 500 again. You create a new product. That's not a fucking business. That's a scam, right? And it's because you're so focused on the next launch. You're so focused on the next marketing, next webinar, next fucking funnel that you don't realize that your product sucks and your customers are not getting any results. So fix this first. Or at least do it at the same time. Fix this while you're doing this, right? So remarket it, fix it, remarket it, fix it, remarket it, fix it, right? That's the only way you're gonna get there. Okay, that was my rant. But son, I'm having a hard time seeing the end game with this. Once you build the empire, how do I exit when it hinges on me and my brand? Would love to know your thoughts. Yeah, I guess everyone's different, right? If your goal is to exit, I think it depends on the personality. So I'll give you a perfect example. I have a friend who's also a business owner, and he just exited from his business. And he's starting another business. And he's already starting this business with exit in mind. Okay? And I think these are the people where entrepreneurship itself is the game for you, right? For me, entrepreneurship is not the game. Does that make sense? Storytelling is the game. Entrepreneurship is not the game, right? So, well, this is the guy that's actually building the Roofer app. The Roofer app. So here's the thing. The first app that he built, he sold it to finance company. He built an app that basically undercuts Bloomberg, and he sold it to a finance company. This next app that he's building, it's for roofers. He doesn't know shit about finance. He doesn't know shit about roofing. Neither of these things are his passion. But you know what his passion is? Fixing problems, right? Fixing. I don't care if it's roofing, landscaping, automotive, marketing, music. I don't care what industry it is. If there's a problem, I see a problem. I fix it. I'm gonna make money from it. I'm gonna sell it, cash out, and I'm gonna do it again and again and again. So the entrepreneurship itself is the game for him. For me, it's not. It's very, very clear it's not. Because for me, fixing problems, like fixing processes and and like incrementally, like, building this business, building culture, like I'm not excited about that. I'm excited about storytelling. I'm excited about design. I'm excited about communication. I'm excited about, things that I'm excited about. So my business is, I'm just doing the business because I want to, it's just an excuse to do this, right? For my friend, he's doing this. This is an excuse so that he can just do a business. These are the two different goals. Does that make sense? So if your game is entrepreneurship, I think you cannot attach your personal brand to the business. You might have to bring in outsiders. You might have, like, if you are going to use personal brand, like you invest in the CEO, and that CEO has to build a personal brand or something like that. Yeah, but I don't think I think personal brand is not going to be your thing if you're thinking exit in mind. I think personal brand is for people that are like, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. This is my lifetime career. Or two, you've already cashed out $1 billion. And now you want to spend the rest of life serving people in the biggest way you can. So you build a personal brand. But you're not doing it to cash out. You're not doing it to drive revenue. That's Mark Randolph, right? The co-founder of Netflix. So we work with Mark Randolph. He's got enough fucking money for like 3 generations. Like, he doesn't need any more money, right? He's just building his person. He's doing the podcast. He's writing the book because he wants to give back, right? So it's either that or like me. Like, to me, there's no separation between business, work, and my personal life. I think, like, to me, that sounds kind of sad. Do you know what I mean? So it's kind of like all one thing. So this is a lifetime career for me. Like, I am gonna build a personal brand because no matter what I do, you know. Well, maybe you know what? That got me thinking. Maybe there's a third option, like Kevin O'Leary, right? Kevin O'Leary buys businesses, and he leverages his personal brand to help promote those businesses. But each one of those businesses have their own brand, right? So maybe that can be a third option for you. So you can buy a business, build it, or you can build it, sell it exactly the way you would have. But in parallel, you also build a personal brand that's separate from this, under all separate account under your name. And then once you sell this, you still have this asset. So your next business is going to be much easier. So something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's helpful. Okay, that's all I got. Next. Being the little old lady on the porch telling crazy stories. Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think, it's so funny. There's a lot of people like that I see that are just like that crazy old man or crazy old lady on the porch just talking. And they're just doing it for fun, and it ends up blowing up, and it ends up turning into a business or something like that. So again, like, just, I don't think there's any downside to building a personal brand, if that's what you're asking. If you have the time, right? I can't think of anyone that wouldn't benefit from a personal brand if you had it. Because here's the thing about personal brand, right? The way I think of it is it's not a 1 and 0. It's not like you have a personal brand or you don't have a personal brand. That's not how it works. Every human on earth already has a personal brand, right? But for some people, that brand is only known to their parents, their friends, their classmates, their teachers, and their coworkers. Right? To some people, it's known to more people in the industry. To some people, it's known to the world. Right? So everyone already has a personal brand, but how influential are you with that? Right? Is what we're talking about. Right? So there are some costs that comes with building a personal brand, but I just think the benefit way out. Here's the thing. Okay, here are the people that I wouldn't advise building a personal brand. Don't build a fucking personal brand if you're a sociopath, because it's gonna backfire on you. Because I feel like personal brand in the long run is not a good game for sociopath. They're all gonna get exposed, right? Okay. Is there any more? Let me read the chat here. If you were starting over today, what would you become known for? What makes someone intellectually magnetic? Okay. Okay. Two part. I think I'm going to answer it in two parts. What makes somebody intellectually magnetic has nothing to do with intelligence. To me, what makes somebody intellectual? Because like, you ever seen Mike Tyson? You ever seen Mike Tyson talk? He sounds like a fucking moron. But you ever see Mike Tyson talk about boxing? He sounds like a fucking professor. And that's the thing, right? Here's the thing. I think somebody's comes off as very magnetic or charismatic when they're talking about something they're really passionate about that they also know really well. Because usually when it's like that, for the some like cuz like somebody could be fucking talking about the most boring topic and I can get excited just the way they talk about it, right? And I think it's because they start pointing out. I'll give you a good example. There's a movie called Lawless with Tom Hardy, and like it's like a very gritty old school action movie, right? And I was talking to my friend about it, and it's a story about these three brothers who are selling like alcohol illegally during the bootleg, and then like they get into war with all these other bootleggers. But these three brothers are so hardcore, like everyone's scared of them, right? But the thing is, the whole thing about the movie for me, the most interesting thing was that it was this guy. Um, there was a myth. There was this tale going around that these brothers were invincible, that they cannot die. And people have tried to kill them, but like every time they try to like they slit his throat and shit like that, but he'll survive, right? So there's this legend, but at the end they end up dying anyway. But the thing is, for me, that was like the coolest thing about that movie, and I was like so passionate about talking about that. So when this my friend who also loved the movie started talking about the movie, the guy that was listening didn't really care. But then when I brought up the invincible thing, and then like I got really into talking about like how like I started talking about the concept of like how like the fact that people thought they were invincible is the reason why they were able to like like build everything they built, things like that. And I started talking about that, and this guy's like, "Oh, I want to see them." Or like he's like, "What's the name of the movie? I want to see that." Right. So I think how to be magnetic has nothing to do with the intellectual like intelligence, but it has to do with how passionate you are about the thing that you're talking about. I think people can tell if you're just phoning it in, right? If you know you're just reading off the prompt, you're just reading off the script, and they can tell if your heart is in it. And I think that's really literally the only difference. I can feel it myself because sometimes I go on stage and I don't really feel it, and the reaction afterwards is not there either. But sometimes I go on stage and I'm in the zone and I feel it. I'm connected, right? I'm really passionate about it. Then everybody feels it afterwards. You know? Okay. So can you bring up the question again, Gigi? Because I want to answer the first part. Because here's the first part of the question. Yeah. Like, what would you become known for? That's the question that I don't think any of you guys should be asking. And here's why. It doesn't matter what you want to be known for. You'll never be known for that. I can guarantee you. Whatever you want to be known for, you'll never be known for that. But you're going to be known for something else that's much better. But the only way is if you let go of this idea that I want to be known for this. You have to let this go. Then all of these doors open up. You're going to be known for something special. But you're holding on to this right now, right? So what I would say is this. I don't want to be known for anything. I don't give a shit what I want to be known for. I want to be known for the thing that everyone wants from me. That's what I want to be known for. So you tell me, what do you want from me? Because that's what I want to be known for. And that's the only attitude that's going to get you known. If you say, I want to be known for this, I promise you, you're not going to be known. Okay, next. How do I find my ideal clients? Somehow creating content and trying to get them to find me is hard. Yeah, I think in the early stage, if you're in the early stages, what I would advise is, because content is going to take time. So I'll answer your question in two parts. So short term and long term. In the content is a long term game. So in the long term, the type of content that I would put out if I were you is, and I always say this, right? Show, don't tell. Right? I don't want you to tell me about your expertise. I want you to demonstrate it. I want you to demonstrate it with client projects. Hey, here you go. Hey, here's what I'm doing. I'm setting up this automation here for this client, and what this is gonna do is it's gonna take all, and somebody registers, it's gonna do this, and it's gonna send them this welcome, blah, 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 blah. And you show them how you set it all up, right? And video after video after video, it's all like that. It's all just demonstrating your skill. Then I guarantee you're gonna get clients, right? But in order to do that, you need enough clients already that's going to allow you to demonstrate your skills, right? So in the short term, what do? If you're in the service business, if you're a freelancer, service business, building agency, creating content is probably the worst way to do it. It's probably the worst, the highest hanging fruit, the worst ROI. Unless you're a content agency, meaning your job is to edit videos and get views. Like unless that is your service you're providing, unless you're a social media agency, trying to get clients through social media is going to be not worth it. What you should be doing is first, number one, step one, reach out to everyone you know, everyone you've ever met in your life. That person that you've talked to on the bus 12 years ago on that trip that you exchanged number with, every person that you've ever met in your life, gather their contacts, send a message one by one by one. Tell them your offer and be very specific about the offer. The offer is, hey, do you know any business owner that wants to automate X? I can do it for X dollars. right? And starting from there, you have to do it like that. And it's really a relationship game. It's a more of an outbound game than an inbound game, in my opinion. Unless you're a social media agency, unless you're a content agency. Okay. Follow up from RJ. How should we treat content creation in a way that would help us build trust and bring us closer to our ideal audience prospects? Okay, I'm gonna talk about it from my way, right? Because here's the thing, right? What I'm talking about is storytelling and content, not just for brands, but personal brand. If you want to build a personal brand, right? So this is my advice, my method, right? You can take it or leave it. So this is what I believe. The beauty of a personal brand is that you can get paid to be unapologetically you. The more you are, the more you get paid. Okay? Imagine a world where the more you are you, the more you get paid. That is the goal. Why is that the goal? Because it is like my new definition of success. I never really cared about money, but I did care about validation. I did care about getting respect. I did care about people not, disrespecting me. I did care about people thinking I'm smart. I do care about those things. But I realized like that, even that all of those things, like there's no different than money, right? To me, the true definition of success now at this age is how authentic can you be? How unapologetically can you be you? Is how I would measure. Like, how authentic can you be? Is how I would measure success. Because some people are just not authentic. Why? Because they don't want to lose their job. They don't want to lose their family. They don't want to lose their like everyone's like just kind of like walking on glass, you know, and just be careful not to say the wrong thing, not to have the wrong idea. Mask upon mask after mask. We're living life like that, so fragile. I don't want to get fired. I don't want to piss this person. I don't want to get canceled. I don't want to say this. I don't want to get called this. Right? To me, that means you haven't succeeded, no matter how much money you make. But if you don't have to do, you can literally say what's in your mind, and you can literally just unapologetically be you and get paid for. Like, you've built the brand based on that. So the more you do that, the more people love you, and the more your brand grows. And that is the purpose of a personal brand: to live as authentically as you can to yourself, without have to perform, without being performative. Is how I would measure success. So in order to do that, you have to build a personal brand in a way where you can't be strategic about it. Right? You actually have to be anti-strategic. Right? Does that make sense? Because the way you plan things, the way you strategize and all of that, content and all of that, none of that is the real you. That is just like what you want other people to think of you. That is the version of you that go on the first date, right? When you go on the first date, you have conversation. Hey, how you doing? Hey, good to see you. Blah, 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 blah. This makes me fucking sick, right? Like, the first date version of you, is that the real you? No, it's the opposite of the real you, right? When you come home, you take off your fucking shoes and you're comfortable. You're fucking like scratching your balls and you're like hanging out with your bro. That's the real you, right? And when those friends are like, you know what? She doesn't get you, you know. Her loss. She doesn't know what she's missing out. Only if she knew the real you, right? Well, you didn't show her the real you. That's the problem. And that's what all of you guys are doing in your personal brand, in your content. Every time you show up on that video, every time you show up in your content, you're not showing the real you. You're showing the first date version of you. No wonder she doesn't fucking like you. But if the real you showed up on that date, it's a completely different story. And that's how I want you to show up, right? In the content. So that's the goal. For me, that's the goal of personal brand. Show up completely as yourself unapologetically. What's going to happen is you're going to start attracting people that wants that. And eventually, once you build a brand that way, then you don't need to perform. You don't need scripts. You don't need strategy. You just fucking go out there and be you. That's all you got to do. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Another question. Everyone is talking about the value of storytelling, all that. What do most fake storytelling gurus out there do not understand about story? In other words, what makes a story? Let me see. I'll have to go find it in the chat. What makes a story and not a memory? Oh, that's a good question. Okay. This is also two parts. The first, all the storytelling people out there, not all of them, but I would say 99% of them, when I see a YouTube video or something like that, they're actually not talking about storytelling. They're talking about a small aspect of storytelling, which is retention, right? How do I keep the audience on the hook? How do I keep them watching? I mean, that's part of storytelling, but it has nothing to do with storytelling. Because, right? Because we all know, we've all seen that fucking, TikTok video of this animation of this screw going in the desk over and over, and we're sitting there fucking watching this thing over and over and over, and we're hooked, and there's retention. But is there a story? No, there's no story, right? It's just hacking our human psychology, right? That's all that is. So to me, that's not real storytelling. So that's kind of, I'll get that out of the way. Because as soon as people say talking about storytelling on these YouTube videos, what do they talk about? How to hook them, how to retain them, how to keep them watching, how to, like all these hacks, right? So that's the first part of the question. What makes a story versus a memory is this. So there's a difference between a plot and a story. Plot is what happens, what happened, right? A story is the transformation of the character as a cause of what happened. So two things, right? So one has to do with the thing that happened, the plot. Underneath it has to do with the characters. What is the character going through the inner dialogue, right? So a good example of this is when you watch, like, for example, when you watch Jerry Maguire, right? We think of Jerry Maguire, and Jerry Maguire is like a football movie about an agent who's like a top agent, and he's him making it as an agent and things like that. But throughout the whole movie, what's actually happening is that in the beginning he's wildly successful, but in his engagement party, all these his exes talking about how he's terrible with intimacy, right? And this is how it sets up the stage. And towards the end, what it turns out is that he couldn't keep a relationship. Okay, long story short, the plot of the movie is about an agent, a sports agent, failing and making a comeback and all of that, right? That's the plot. That's what happened. But the actual story is the story of Tom Cruise learning to open up, trust, and have another intimate relationship with another human being. This is the actual lesson that he learned underneath, right? So this is what I'm talking about. what happened doesn't fucking really matter if there was no transformation underneath, right? So I guess like you can, and I think it really shows like when you tell an interesting story of interesting that happened that doesn't have like an actual storyline, it's just a plot. It kind of feels like these fucking Netflix movies where it has like a good premise. Oh, it's like, oh, this is a story about people who come from the future and they're doing this. Blah, blah. It has a good premise, so you start watching it, but 30 minutes into it, hour into it, you can't really get into it because there's no story, and it's just fucking at the ending is kind of like, eh. That's what it feels like. So, okay, let's do a couple more. Is there any more? How to be consistent? You have to get bored. You have to get bored. I think boredom is like the biggest enemy of our generation right now. Because the thing is, if you're still having fun, that means you're not gonna. I can guarantee you, you're not gonna be consistent. Okay, because that's the thing, right? Like it's. You know what? I'll give an analogy. By the way, this is analogies are the key to storytelling. So if you want to be a brilliant storyteller, keep practicing analogies. So I'm going to give you an analogy right now. Can you pull up the question again, Gigi? 1 second. Okay. So I'm going to give you an analogy. What is the secret? Okay. Whenever you're still excited about something or you're having fun, you're doing something because it's fun, because it's your passion, because you love, I can almost guarantee you you're not going to be consistent. Because as soon as it stops being fun, you're going to stop. This is the reality, right? And this is across anything, being consistent in anything. How do you be consistent in going to the gym, right? Well, for me, the only thing that worked is the Atomic Habits, James Clear. Just put on the clothes and go outside and walk around the block once. That's all you need to do. Or just go to the gym for 10 minutes. And after 10 minutes, you still want to you want to go back home, go back to sleep? Fine. Go do it. That you just got to last through the first 10 minutes, the first 15 minutes. Okay? Because I think once you do that, it starts being fun again. Sometimes, like, yeah, making content, making carousel was fucking amazingly fun for me when I first started. But after after I made 100 of them, like it kind of got repetitive, right? So it was so hard for me to sit down and spend the first 15 minutes looking at a blank screen and just designing it. But then once I'm 15 minutes into it, it's 15 minutes in writing, something starts clicking. It just starts becoming fun again. I found, it became fun again, right? Same thing, podcast. I never want to record a podcast. So I just book everything in the calendar with a guest. Then, and every time I'm like, oh, fuck, I don't want to record the podcast today. But I can't cancel it because we booked this 2 months ago. So I force myself to show up. 10 minutes into it, I'm getting into the conversation. It's fun again. Everything in life likes that. So here's the answer. What's the secret to consistency? Just get past the fucking first 10 minutes. Just do the first 10 minutes of anything consistently, no matter how miserable it is. And 10 minutes later, if you want to stop, you can stop. Every day, write for 10 minutes. 10 minutes later, you want to stop writing? Stop. Fine. That is the secret to consistency. Okay. Let's keep. Is there more, Gigi? I think we can do a couple more. Carousels are cool in a way that it makes your audience swipe or take action. What is the guiding question you ask yourself at the end of each carousel? The thing that I have to kind of guiding question. Oh, to keep the real. Okay. So I think this is why the carousels are so amazing to practice storytelling. Because once you write it all out, here's the test, right? Every slide, if I look at the first slide and I look at it, and I have to ask myself, is there any curiosity here? Is there anything in this slide that makes me want to swipe and see the next slide? I don't even care if they don't swipe all the way through. I just want them to see the next slide only. So maybe that's the answer. The key is don't think about the ending. Like once you've laid it all out and you know what the ending is and you know what the story is, and now you're just rearranging the slides to put this over here, move this part over here. Like you're just rearranging the slides. At that moment, I want you to look at it with a fresh eye. What is on this slide? What can I say or what can I put to get them to get to this next slide? I just want them to get to the next slide. And then once you get to that slide, what can I say on here to get them to the next slide? I'll post this. I'll post something like that similar next week. I have a carousel like that shows you. Like, and it can be simple like this. It can be simple like you have a phrase, and then cut it off in the mid phrase, and then on the next slide finish the sentence, right? Especially if it's like a phrase that they can guess, they love that, right? If you say like, for example, if I say, "Time flies," and on the next slide, when you're having fun, right? When they see time flies, in their mind, they're already guessing when you're having fun. So now, because they guessed that, they have to swipe to confirm, did I get it right? Right? It's like the Jeopardy effect. The reason why we fucking watch Jeopardy is because, this president was the first president of the United States. Who is George Washington? Now I need to sit and wait and watch to see if I got it correct, right? Right? You can use the same effect on the carousel, right? Time flies when, so that you can kind of get them hooked or something like that. I will be posting random thoughts through rants here and there. So this is. Yeah, no, I think there's nothing bad about that. You should post random rants and things like that. In addition to the content that is going to actually teach them, right? If I don't cuss in front of my kids, does that make me inauthentic? No matter how hard I want to. Same with. No, I don't think so. Because here's one thing I'll say. Okay, let's bring that one up later. The thing about cursing, right? So I am not the same person. I don't talk the same exact way in front of, let's say, a bunch of 7-year-olds as I would with my close friends, right? Does that mean I'm inauthentic? No. It just means I know how to read the room, right? I would be a sociopath if I talk to 7-year-olds the same way I talk to my friends, right? So if I'm with my friends and I'm cursing, I would actually feel completely comfortable with that. But let's say I'm giving a talk at a church. Like somehow my brain even knows that I shouldn't curse here. So that it would, if it was part of my script and I forced myself to curse, it would feel weird. It would feel cringe in that moment, even for me. There are moments even for me when cursing feels cringe. Cursing feels inappropriate. It doesn't feel right. Right? So, and that's completely fine. That doesn't mean you're inauthentic. Does that make sense? So yeah, I guess like I think everybody's different. So the only person that can really answer in that moment, am I being authentic or not, really is yourself. It's your own gut. I think your gut is the only one that has the answer to is this authentic or not. Nobody else. Because like sometimes like there are situations where I say something and I just cringe at myself. I'm like, oh my gosh, fuck. Why did I just say that? Right? That was just so not me. Right? Something like that. Okay. Thank you everyone for is there no more questions? Okay. Awesome. Okay. Thank you everyone. Next week, let's try to the night owl people, next week, let's try to get on the hot seat. Let's try to do a call in because I think it'll be interesting if we actually have a conversation where I ask you follow-up questions and we can kind of do it that way. Thank you everyone. We're going to do this every week. So I'll see you next week and until then, have a great week. Cheers y'all. Bye. Bye everyone.